Hey, what's up? This is Tim Weaver with Studio4Media.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to create some abstract artwork using cubes inside of Maya with XGen. Now, I got this idea from looking at some of the artwork that Lee Griggs has done. Lee Griggs is a really awesome, talented artist, and he's the one that came up with this technique, and you can see some of the images here on his website that we're going to try to reproduce. I'm going to have a link in the description to the website so you can look at all these images on your own time and get some more ideas. Now, also on Lee Griggs' website, there is a link to a tutorial, a written tutorial on how to do this. So if I don't answer all of your questions, or if you want to look at maybe a different way to do this, you can look at the tutorial on his website and it'll go through everything there. And I will also put the link to this tutorial in the description. So yeah, check that out as well. I just thought I would make a tutorial on this because it's a really cool technique and I want everybody to learn how to do it because it's pretty simple and you can create some really sweet artwork. Hey, also go ahead and go over to Studio4Media.com and check that out. We got some really cool tutorials. If you like these free tutorials, I guarantee you're going to like the ones we have on our website for our members. We got some modeling ones, we have some on dynamics, animation, a whole bunch of different ones. You can click on those and check it out there and see a preview of what you'll be getting before you sign up. And we are doing a special deal right now that if you sign up, you get to have lunch with me. Now there are some stipulations. You have to live in the same city I do. You have to pick between either Chipotle or Chick-fil-A, and you have to also buy the lunch. So that's the deal we have going on right now, so feel free to sign up and we'll get that one going. Alright, back inside of Maya, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to make sure we're in our animation tab. That's where we'll be working today. And what we can do is we can go ahead and create a new Polygon plane. And we're going to scale it up to 120. Or really, it doesn't really matter what you scale up to, but something bigger. And let's go ahead and increase our subdivision width and height to a value of 20. That way we have a little bit more subdivisions in there. I'm going to hide my grid. That way we can just see our plane. Now with our plane selected, you're going to want to go to the XGen tab up here and say, let's just open the XGen window so you can see. So it'll be over here on the side along with our channel box and attribute editor. Now if you don't see this XGen tab up here, don't freak out. The reason is because you need to go over here to Window, Settings and Preferences, and Plugin Manager. From there, if it's not already loaded up, that's why you don't see it. So you need to scroll down to the bottom. You'll see here whatever you have your files stored as, it'll have the link there, and then you can just say load up. And you can also have it auto load if you want to have it auto load every single time Maya loads up. So turn it on there, XGen, and you'll be good to go. Once that's turned on, the tab will turn on there, and you can click open up the XGen window. And then what we're going to do is select our plane and then hit create new description. Now XGen, if you guys don't know, is a thing that was created by Disney actually to help them do different types of effects like hair in the movie Tangled, set dressings like different spheres for pebbles and marbles and that kind of stuff. So that's what it was created for, and now we have the option of using it. And so there's different options here. You can see you have like splines, that's for hair, grimmables for dog fur and that kind of stuff. We're going to be using the custom geometry though because we want to reference just a simple cube. And so we'll hit custom geometry and we'll go ahead and rename this as well, cube description, and have our new collection and name that cube collection. And just make sure you have that custom geometry and you'll be good to go. Everything else looks fine. We'll hit create. And yes, I will override. I already have one there, that's why it asked if I wanted to override it. So you'll notice it's going to give us an error message there, and all that's saying is that we selected to reference from an object, but we don't have an object created to reference from. That's not a problem. We'll go ahead and do that right now. So go to create, Polygon primitive cube, and let's go ahead and scale this up. Did try not to make that. Hold on one second. Let's go ahead and just make the standard cube. There we go. And just move it up above the plane there. And we're going to select our cube. And in our XGen window, we're going to scroll down to Archive File. And we're going to hit Create from Selection. And there it's going to ask you, the default is just to store it in your XGen archives, which you can, but I have a custom one that I'm storing it in. And we'll hit Export. And we'll hit Add. Oh, also, check this out. We have an error message here. At this point in time, you cannot actually reference from any type of object unless you have saved your scene. So I'm going to go File, Save. We'll just save this. Yes. And now we can create from selection, export this, and it's going to export it out. Now this might take a little bit of time depending on how good of a computer you have. Mine sucks horribly, so it always takes forever. But there we go. We're good now. Let's go ahead and, with our cube selected, now we can hit Add. And you can see there, whatever you saved it, make sure you go to there, and you have your cube reference right there. Now it's also trying to import some different things like Maya material. We don't need to worry about that because we're not using material, so just hit No. Alright, now you can see here we have our cubes, and they are all being referenced, and they've spawned similarly on our plane. Now the reason why this is off a little bit is because my cube wasn't exactly on center, the reference cube, so I needed to make sure, and when you guys do this, make sure it's on the center of your plane, and that way all of these cubes are also on the center of your plane. So not a big deal. It's not going to mess me up, but as you guys are doing it, make sure you do it correctly. Okay, now let's go ahead and go up to our density. I'm going to lower that down to a value of 0.7, just so it moves a little bit better and so that cubes don't overlap as much. But you can see here we have a lot of cubes that have been created, and it just moves pretty seamlessly. You can imagine having like particles or something like that. It might be a little bit more taxing on your computer. So really cool program XGen is. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at our length. Because right now they're all about the exact same length, and what we want to do is we want to change that and vary that. So we'll go over here to the length and click this drop down box here, and we'll say Create Map. And we'll call this Cube Length. Now I think the default is the map resolution is really low. Go ahead and set it up to a value of 200 and we'll hit Create. And we can go ahead and hide all of our XGen cubes there by clicking this button up here. So it's automatically going to pull up your paintbrush for you, and you can get to the tool settings by double clicking over here, and we can start from there. So Maya is going to use different shades of gray to determine what the length value is. So black being 0 and white being 1. So anything that's black is going to have a really low value of length, and anything that is white or closer to white is going to have a higher value. And I'll show you what I mean here. So on the edges, I will put a black color. Okay, so darker on the edges here. And I'm just painting my plane. And you can paint whatever design you want. I'm just going to paint this so you guys can see the varying different heights of the different colors. In the middle, I'm going to have a really light shade of gray. We'll do darker going out, and then do a little bit darker between those two. Now this is going to be a really boring image because it's just going to be, you know, kind of flat, just kind of like a stair-step effect, but you'll get the idea and see how this works. So there we go. Pretty simple. But with that done, we'll go over to our XGen chat tab again, and we will save our map. Hit save. Now that it's saved, you can see we have our cubes that have come back, but you still can't really even see the different the map on it because the cube's length is really low. So we're going to change that right now. In the length attribute here, go over to the expression editor, and we will add an expression to increase the length here. So in between lines 1 and 2, we will add this expression, hit $A equals 20 times. All this is saying is that we're increasing the length at a value of 20 times over. So, and then we'll end it by hitting $A colon. Hit accept. Now this is going to increase the length there, you can see, and here we have our cubes now, and you can see the ones on the outside that were black are completely flat, and then it increases by varying shades of the gray. So inside here we have different heights. The one in the middle is the highest one, and there you go. You can see how the different colors affects the heights there. So pretty cool. The density here is pretty thick. You might even be able to turn that down a little bit to see it better. Maybe value of 0.5 or so. But you get the idea here. So yeah, pretty cool. You can do some custom maps and create your own little artworks by doing that. So it's a really cool technique. Now I want to go ahead and also show you how to reference an image, because this is where it starts to get really fun. So let's go ahead and do that next. I'm going to just create a new scene here. And we're going to do the same thing. So we will create a polygon plane. We will increase it, value of 150 or whatever we did last time, bigger, and 20 by 20. There we go. We'll create our new description based on that. This time I'm going to call this hurricane description, and hurricane collection. Make sure we have our custom geometry selected, hit create, and there's that same error message. So we'll go ahead and create our cube. This time we'll create it in the center of everything. Boom. And let's go ahead and bring it up. And with our cube selected, we can create some selection, export this out, make sure we save our scene. Otherwise you can't export it out. So we'll save it, and now we'll export it. So just doing the same process here. Everything's the same except for when you get to your length map. So we'll add that cube, open it up, don't worry about that. So there we go. Now you can see that since it was in the middle, it just fills up the plane perfectly, and looks good. So let's go ahead and go to our length attribute. We'll scroll in here and say create new map. Let's go ahead and call it hurricane length. Create it, and this time instead of painting on there, we're going to reference an image. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to our outliner, and we're going to select this, go to display, and say uncheck DAG objects only. So we'll uncheck that, and you can see here we have a lot more options, and we can go to this file node here that we just created, and we can go to our attribute editor with that file node selected and reference an actual image. So I'm going to select hurricane. Now it's important to make sure that you're referencing a black and white image, because Maya uses the black and white, as you remember earlier. So make sure whatever image you have is black and white, at least for what you are referencing. So there we go, we look good. And let's go ahead and go back to our XGen editor and do the same thing in our length, because we can't see what's going on right now. The cubes are too flat, so we'll create an expression. This time though, instead of creating just a simple expression, we're going to do one that's a little bit more complicated, and this will allow us to actually have our cubes be animated. So what we'll do is we'll start out with $A equals $A times parenthesis $A plus $frame. There we go. Now what this is saying is that we're taking whatever frame it is and multiplying it. So it'll as the frames go up, the length will also go up. There we go. In order to see this, you have to make sure that you hit save over here on your texture map, and you'll be good to go. Our hurricane looks a little deformed, so we can fix this by just selecting the planes and changing the scale here. So we're going to change Z and turn that to a value of 100. Let's see if that fixes it. That might be a little bit too much. Let's do 125. And we'll go back to our XGen and then just reload this. Much better. Now, we have our hurricane, and as we hit play, you're going to see here that it actually rises up. And holy crap, it rises up a lot. So, if you guys have a better computer than I do, then you will probably not have this problem where it is sketchy. But as you can see here, you can get some really cool height and then make it look really awesome. And that's just really cool. And yeah, I'm loving this. I'm going to go ahead and lower down our density here, just so it goes a little bit faster. And hit play, and that'll be good right there. So, really cool. You can see here that we're referencing that hurricane image, and it's looking great. And we like it a lot. But the problem is it's still black and white. And so what makes it look cool is having that color to it. So what we can do is we can actually go to our XGen, go to our preview and /output, go down to the custom shaders and the output settings, and we're going to say root underscore color, and make sure that it's set to color, not float. I think float is the default. We'll add that, go to create map, and we'll say hurricane color, hit create, and now over here, instead of, you can also paint on, which is really cool. You can paint on your own custom colors, which is really cool and really fun. So you can do that, or you can reference the same image and only this time in color. So we'll scroll down. Instead of file 1, you can see we have a new file node here called file 2. We'll have that selected, go to the attribute editor, open up our hurricane color, and go back to XGen, save our color map. And now if we render this out, you can see we have our color applied to our hurricane. So it's looking really cool. Another thing we can do, which will just make our render look a lot better, is inside of the render tab under your mental ray settings, you can go to indirect lighting, and then we can also create a physical sun and sky. So we'll hit create there, and let's zoom in a little bit and get a cool view here. Saying something like this would probably be pretty cool. And let's render this out. Alright, so we got that rendered out, and you can see here it looks pretty good. I mean, we got that physical sun and sky, which creates a really nice natural lighting on here. And yeah, I'm really happy with this result. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Hopefully you learned something, and you know, be sure to check out studio4media.com. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. We have new tutorials we add all the time on there, and if you guys like these free ones, I guarantee you'll like those ones too. So thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.